long history in distribution, retail, manufacturing, some exciting products. I'll just kind of Dakota Bio's long history in these kind of products, but fairly new company, and I'll explain more as we get into it. Thanks for having me.
Sounds great. Josh, we'll let you share your screen.
Can do. Which products would you like me to start with, Tony, on, Mike?
Go ahead and start with SoyFX.
We can do that. Let me pull it up here. Real quick, Tony, let me just give a 1-minute introduction on YMS here, and then I'll kick it over to SoyFX. So, Michael, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Okay, so again, I mentioned to you that we are a manufacturer representative company. What we do is find innovative biological products, and then we conduct our own what we call proof of concept trials with these products to make sure they do two things. Number one, they have to work, right? Just because a manufacturer tells us a product is supposed to do something doesn't mean it always happens. So we test that theory out first. And then the second thing, which is maybe more important, is it has to return an investment, have a high return of investment to the grower. So we've had products in the past that have looked really good on paper. They maybe perform pretty well in the field, but they don't make the grower any more money. We want to make sure the grower is coming out ahead when they use our products. So this year we did 95 trials across 13 states. With 13 different crops. So that's kind of the introduction of the YMS model and why manufacturers are partnering with us to take products to the market. So I'm going to move to SoyFX for Tony and let him talk about that. Go ahead, Tony.
All right. SoyFX was developed for use on soybeans. It was a product that was a standard legume, and we pulled out dry beans because we found that we were more successful with SoyFX for addition of nodules with a set of bacteria that didn't work well with dry beans. So the key benefits of SoyFX, you're going to get a faster root growth. You're going to get a larger root mass, and that is going to support the increase in both stem diameter and leaf mass. The key to this one is additional pods. You're going to hit R1 quicker. You're going to be building pods when it's cooler, so you're going to have less abortion. When you get into August 1st, you're going to be hitting R6 quicker, so you're going to be able to sit and fill when those late season rains hit. We had significant pod counts, so fill is critical. You want to make sure that you fertilize your crops and you have your fertility to the point where it can support additional yields. So SoyFX is a very specific product to soybeans. It will cause the first 4 nodes on the plant to form clonal branches. So genetics matter on these. You've got a good tight 10-degree bean, you will see some really significant increases in yield all the way down to a 60-degree bean. The issue with 60-degree bean is you're going to want to drive slower when you harvest the field. Normal equipment has a little bit of an issue picking a 60-degree bean up normally, and when you fill that thing with pods, you don't want to lose those heavyweight pods at the bottom. Any questions on SoyFX? All right.
Tony, this is Josh here. I'm just going to jump in real quick because we've tested SoyFX now for a couple of years. Our experience with the product from the proof of concept trial standpoint is Tony hit the nail on the head: fertility and moisture. If we're going to put the additional branching with those additional pods on that plant, we really need the moisture throughout the season, particularly late season moisture, to fill those additional pods and to support that additional growth. So that has been our experience with it. The areas, particularly this year, that were severe drought in Minnesota, unfortunately, we did not see the response, but the areas in Wisconsin that got the rains, we saw phenomenal results this year of anywhere from 4 bushel up towards 9 bushel, I think, in some of our plots. So it really is one of those products that sets your plant up for the potential of higher yield. I tell people with this product, it will work 95% of the time, in the sense that 95% of the time you're going to get that additional branching and those additional pods. And then Mother Nature comes into play, and how often is she going to allow that extra moisture or that additional moisture to fill those pods is really the trick. So does that make sense, Tony?
Yes. The other piece of SoyFX is we have added replant into it, our hail and physical damage recovery product. Up until the last week of July, so far we've gone all the way to the 20th of July with total destruction with a weed eater, and we've come up to within 80% of original yield. The key to that is making sure you get moisture. With a hail event, you've typically got enough moisture coming in to initiate the regrowth, but it will start to throw new pod, new plant as soon as the damage occurs. This is not breaking apical dominance and then forming a new plant from a branch. This product will actually reform and form stem cells at the callus and regrow from the cut point on the stalk, not from a lower node.
And Tony, just take 1 minute and talk about the plant stress mitigation component of SoyFX when in regards to ethylene and some of the other things that it's doing, maybe the pH regulation.
Okay, so we have a group of microbes in there that will modify the ethylene pathway. It eats the precursor to ethylene stress. So without that precursor to create ethylene, you reduce the plant's response and reduce the stress from either heat or from wind damage. It will reduce stress flowering, so you don't have those aborted pods. We have a group of bacteria in there. The reason you are hitting R1 to R6 earlier is because we have a pH modulator group of bacteria inside of the plant. So instead of a huge swing for daily pH range, where you quit producing energy at 10:30, 11 o'clock because the pH is too high, these will modulate the pH within the plant itself and keep you producing energy up to 95 degrees. That's where we get the reduction in time to maturity to R6, is because your plant is taking advantage of the heat units all day rather than just in the morning. So we don't do anything magical. It's an easy pH modification that allows you to take advantage of heat units all day. That gets you to R4, R5 quicker. One of the things that we ran into this year is herbicide application. I want to make sure everyone, before they go out and spray herbicide on that last week you can spray it, to go out and check their fields, because the untreated half of one of our test fields had just hit R1. They sprayed it with Liberty. What they didn't understand is that the treated side of the field, the other entire half, was already at R4 and was filling pods. We had abortion issues because of that. They regrew because of our stress management and our replant system, but that's something that we found this year, that with all of the heat that we had, those additional heat units pushed the treated side of the field to R4, while the untreated side was just getting into R1.
So as we're looking at this product in terms of application, how do you use it? Our primarily tested method has been through the seed coat. So it's a 2 ounce per 100 weight application rate. If it's going to be applied as a seed coat. Tony, walk them through how they do it, either in furrow or foliar.
Okay, seed coat is our recommended application method. You'll be, by the time you get to second trifoliate, you'll be far enough ahead on the plant growth on seed coat. It's difficult to catch up. You still get a lot of benefit. Maximum benefit is seed. In furrow, it needs to touch the seed. So you either want to put it on below, drop the seed into it, or drop the seed and apply the SoyFX over the top of it. For a foliar, you want to get it on as early as possible. Second trifoliate to third trifoliate is optimal. Once you get past into R1, you're not going to form the clonal nodes. The earlier you get it on, the better.
And I will say, just in closing on this product, and then Michael, I'll open it up to any questions. If there's anything that comes through in the chat, just let us know. This is the product for your innovative growers. This is not a product for the guys that are growing 60 bushel beans, 55 bushel beans, and are just doing it as a cheaper way to grow corn, and they're content, or sorry, cheaper program than corn, and they're content with their yield. This is the guy that's trying to get another 4, 5, 6 bushel out of his crop that year, and is willing to spend a little money to do it. So that's where this product has a fit. But Michael, any questions that came through in the chat?
Yeah, so the one thing I want to comment on this is that when we do higher management programs, this is a product that works into that. You're going to set more pods, more branches, and we've got to feed that pod and fill it out. So for those programs that are doing foliars, nutritionals, and other methods, these are the guys to target with this. I want to emphasize that because what can happen is we can set more pods, and but if you don't do the good work to fill it or have the rains, you might end up with the same yield as the field beside it that you didn't place with this. So when you're making notes, approach the higher management people with this product specifically to get the best results early. So Tony, there was a question and a comment on the regrowth from the hail. If you could maybe comment a little further on that. Let's see, let me go on the conversation. Will the regrowth feature help in frost situations? And will this product reach harvest quicker? Could there be more green stems? That's a 3-part question. Regrowth for frost, harvest quicker, or green stems?
All right, so early in the season, frost, it's not going to help. You have to have enough energy in the root to be able to recover the plant, and early on, frost isn't going to help. Late season frost, you're trying to get your product to, or the plant to senesce. So as far as frost goes, it's really not going to help. It needs to be a physical damage where a leaf is sending a signal to the root that it has been eaten. So what it's trying to do is the plant's been eaten. It's trying to regrow more plant for the baby bacteria to colonize. It's a self-preservation mechanism for the biological. Now, to get the crop out early, it is going to hit R6 earlier. It is completely genetic specific, whether it is going to be done and ready to harvest earlier. We've had plants ready up to 2 weeks early, but it is completely genetic and nutritionally based. So it could come out early, but 95% of the time it's not. It's going to be standard harvest date. It's going to hit R6 earlier. So you're going to set your final pod that first week of August in South Dakota, and then sit there and fill the beans. So it's not wasting more energy throwing more pods. It's just going to sit and fill those. So green stem, where it's not drying down correctly, we have not had an issue with that at all. If anything, it's dry quicker. The key is do not ever let your producer split a planter. It produces, if it does go into early maturation, it looks like an American flag, and you've got ready to harvest and green with leaves on it yet. So that, well, if you're going to do a split field, do not do split planter. Do one half versus the other, or put a strip down there for control.
Thank you for that. All right, Josh, next product.
Perfect. Tony, you want to go to INFX? You just pull it up here. Okay, Tony, I'll let you talk about INFX.
All right, so IonFX was our first real generic product. We changed the ionic state in the plant, made nutrition more available because we changed pH, but we were still having issues with zinc, magnesium, calcium. It wasn't available to biochemical processes. So we brought in internal to the plant solubilizers to make sure that the electron state, it was either able to accept or give an electron during production of energy. So IonFX is where the rest of them started. They were just differentiated from IonFX. So IonFX is what you use for cotton. It's what you use for a Sudan grass. It's what you use for a canola. If you've got a general crop application, this is the product. This product really shines in corn, though. It's going to give you an increase in tonnage. It's going to give you an increase in cob length. I spent an hour discussing with a gentleman this morning what happens if you can get a plant to pollinate 4 to 5 days earlier and miss those really hot July days. He gave a great presentation here in Miami on what stage heat stress in pollen will reduce your yields. He was very interested in the product based on the escape from heat early in the season for proper pollen growth. So we are going to produce if you look at the video or at the screen here, we're producing a larger root mass earlier in the plant. So it's giving you the wide growth to try and reach out and grab that early season nutrition. We have phosphorus solubilizers in there that will help bring phosphorus into the plant earlier. We have great response in corn after sugar beet syndrome without having to apply orthophosphates. We always joked that we could come close to replacing 1034, and that if we ever made that claim, we'd get shot by the elevators. But this year, being able to solubilize that phosphorus quicker is going to be the difference between a good yield and a bad yield. So everybody at the conference is talking about phosphorus solubilization, nitrogen utilization, and our products getting those root masses out quicker, going to help you take advantage of that nitrogen that you put down early. We are going to end up with 28 to 41% increase in plant mass above ground and up to 3x increase in dry matter underground.
Yeah, and I will tell you, Tony, we'll switch to silage here in just a second, but I'll tell you on the grain corn side, with our proof of concept trials, what we've seen with it is your stress plots. This product is a home run. I mean, your plots that are drought stressed, that are, shallow contour, those types of areas, any stress kind of ridden field, the IonFX has above normal performance is what we've seen with it. And then obviously on the silage, Tony, I'll let you talk about kind of what we're seeing there, and I'll pull up the results here for you.
Okay, so on the silage side, we're running about 2.5, just shy of 2.5 tons more. So average milk production is both by the tonnage as well as by the changes in fiber. We actually went out and we found a plant that solubilizes its starch that's held in the root daily to move up and down the plant. This is an unusual invasive plant, and it had a set of bacteria in there that put these little cleavage points in the fiber. So a second bacteria could run down and cut this fiber up. So other biologics could move it from fiber and starch into sugars, move it up the plant for energy for faster growth. This is a plant that in its native habitat gets grazed every day. So it pulls all of its nutrition into the ground. Early morning, it throws it back up to the plant to get growth up to replace those leaves. So that fiber cleavage point and the increase in tonnage, that fiber digestibility is key. That's where we're looking at that increase. That $400 plus range for dairies is a huge increase. How much is this per acre, Josh?
It depends how you use it. So seed coat is the way that we've done a lot of our trials. You're talking right around that $7 a unit of corn if you do it as a downstream treatment on a seed coat, which is minimal cost. You're talking $3 an acre, $4 an acre. If you did it as a foliar or in furrow, it's closer to that $8, $9 an acre range. So it's a very high return on investment for the cost of the product. Tony, walk us through how we apply it in furrow or foliar.
Okay, so this one's similar on in furrow. You want to put this down so it touches the seed. This is not a fertilizer. This is not a 2 over, 2 down. This is a direct contact with the seed because it will actually grab hold of the organic acids, use those as a food source, and enter the root system as soon as it germinates. So an in-furrow is directly applied to the seed, either above or below. And then foliar application, this is one you want to put on early. So if you can get this on at pop can high, good V2, early V3, you want this on as early as you can, because the goal of this product is to trick the plant into thinking it is a lot more comfortable and a lot happier than it really is. So we're blocking that stress response. So the plant thinks, you know, I can throw a bigger cob. I can throw more kernels. I can throw more root mass. I can get bigger because I have the resources necessary. So by being able to trick the plant early on to believe that, that's where we're getting the bigger cob set. We're getting the longer cobs. Influencing cob is key to getting your grain yield up, and earlier application, the better.
So Michael, any questions through the chat on the ion?
I don't see any at this time, but if everyone wants to take note, there's the chat function up in the upper right. It looks like those little bubbles like in the comic books. You can click on that and see the questions. And then also down there it says type a new message, and you can type in if you want to bring something up. The key with this product, for those of you in Dairylands, we have a product that's an amazing product that goes and helps the digestibility of the feed in the rumen. And with this product, you can approach a dairy and have something that no one else has the ability to bring to them. And so there's a lot of people that are going to be interested in this as we go forward. Some dairies are getting tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of differences in their milk checks based upon how they've used this when they've got into this silage. And we want you to know that that's something that's more technical. This is where we would bring Tony and Josh in on the meetings to get into that technicality. We want you to know that it's a great place to go and be a consultant on that side of things. And, you know, you have to work with the nutritionists in those organizations. But if the farmer is not doing silage, we want you to know that this product works to help increase yield and quality of the grain and so forth. And there's an ROI just for taking number 2 corn out of the field. So Josh, we'll let you go to the next one.
Yeah, what do you want to hit next, Mike?
Oh, maybe like the wheat or the forage product, the Alpha Jewel type product, and then the Crown. Yeah, go ahead with Crown. That's fine.
Go ahead, Tony. Let's talk about Crown FX.
All right, so Crown FX removed from the INFX line because we found a group of microbes that caused a big increase in tiller. This one's called a fame, is a very large root mass. When you get very large root mass very quickly and get additional tillers coming up, you're giving more exudates down to the soil to promote more of the beneficial bacteria. A lot of those beneficial bacteria eat detrimental fungus. So the more you can increase the immediate root-bound microbiome that's occurring in the soil, the better off you are. We've seen canopy up to 2 weeks early on this product. It becomes a really big deal when you hit canopy 2 weeks early. You're getting less splashback from rain, which is going to reduce the fungal load coming onto the plant, as well as going to canopy quicker and reducing your weed pressures. It's going to hold moisture better in the field. This product has turned out to be a really huge winner for us. If you're cutting it for forage, you can run a 28 to 50% increase in tonnage in the field for haylage. We have built into Crown FX a group of microbes that modify the movement of protein inside of the grain. Your NIR analysis on your grain should show a 1.5 to 2% increase in protein in your grain. You can apply this as a flag leaf foliar and get your increase in protein. If you're looking for increase in inches of head per acre and inches or number of kernels per inch, put it on early as a seed coat or as fast as it pops out of the ground as a foliar. My recommendation on this one is absolutely to use it as a seed coat. You want it on before jointing so you can increase the number of head producing tillers. The protein in this, if you're doing NIR, getting a 1.5 to a 2, we were surprised when we sent it in for wet chemistry analysis. We had actually changed the barley, which was showing a 179 increase in NIR. We actually took it from 16% to 21%. We were almost a 5% increase in protein in small grains. There is not currently a quality market, but General Mills and 2 other companies are working to develop a high protein market for small grains. They want the higher proteins. They want the increase in feed value of bread and their flours. My understanding is in 2023 that protein market will be established and they'll begin to buy small grains based on protein. If you do direct contracts to someone like Panera, you already get a spiff on your proteins. So they're specifically buying high protein small grains for their Panera breads. That trend is increasing, especially when you can say it is sustainably or regeneratively developed product based on non-GMO, vegan, microplastics free product. The only issue with Crown FX is you cannot use propiconazole. If you're going to use propiconazole, do not use our product. Propiconazole is a broad spectrum antimicrobial. Whenever you put it on in the life cycle, it's not just, so it is tank mixable. You can throw it in there. It's tank mixable for 3 hours in a tank. But as soon as it touches the plant, it will start to kill fungus in the plant. Those fungus go scorched earth. They kill everything. So it's a combination of the fungicide and the exudates from the fungus it's killing that kills everything inside the plant, including our biologic. So you want to talk to people about using Headline, using Cruiser Max. You want to look at a fungicide that is not a broad spectrum. Ipoconazole works, but propiconazole does not. And this is a life cycle product. If you use propiconazole at any point, it will kill our microbials, and you will not get the protein benefit later in the year. Questions on this one? This one is kind of near and dear to my heart. Josh, you want to talk?
Hey, Rylan, I know you're out in wheat country there in central Kansas down by Wichita. We'll want to come back to you on this one with more details and answer your questions going forward, especially since I know you've got your seed treater and treat a lot of seed out that way in wheat and soybean country. So
okay, sounds good.
Yeah, if you had any specific question in the moment that just pops out of your head, Rylan, go ahead and speak up. We'll give you a second.
I do have one comment to make, though. When you're pulling done wheat out of the bin, since it's planted so early, the seed has to be above freezing. Our first year, we pulled seed out of the bin out in Faulkton, South Dakota, 15-degree seed. When we sprayed our product on, it froze instantly and killed all the bacteria. So you need to check seed temperature. That's the only big one on Crown FX that we've hit.
Thank you for that, Tony. Rylan, if you have any question or comment.
Not that I can think of at the moment.
All right, appreciate that. Okay, let's go to Alpha Jewel.
Yeah, Tony, give us a quick synopsis of Alpha Jewel.
Okay, Alpha Jewel is a product developed. This has the least number of biologics in it of any of our products. It is a root promoter, so it's going to give you better overwintering. It is going to cause additional close branching, so it's going to give you more leaves, thicker leaves. And the ethylene reducer is going to give you reduced stress flowering. So you've got a better chance of finishing your planting before you have to go in and run your first cutting. It gives you better tonnage, but we're finding better tonnage after between first, second, third, and fourth. The later in the year, the drier it is, the hotter it is, the better our product does.
What results are you going to see, Tony, with the on the crop with when you spray it, and how often do you spray this material?
So you're going to spray it after every cutting. So what happens is the aerobes translocate up into the upper plant and the anaerobes go into the root. Every time you cut it, everybody cuts too low and they're going to remove all of the aerobes. So you need to reapply this to the crown as soon as you get back into the field. The old formulation, you had to wait until it grew a few leaves. That 6 to 7 day loss in growth time between cutting and application was killing us. So we had to add microbes in there that actually enter in through the crown and bring the rest with them. So it's an after every cutting. The improvement, getting out there early when you're so busy planting. We have very few people put it on first cutting. We have some of the guys with pivots put it on. You're going to get a benefit. You're going to get growth, but that first cutting, you're not going to get as much improvement as the later ones.
All right. Thank you for that. Okay, Josh, is there any other product from Tony we need to look at, or we want to move to Invita? And
I think that's a pretty good round the table on
Okay.
the Agrivive product line. So
Yeah,
Tony,
the only thing
Mike.
I would interject there is we covered kind of the main Midwest crops. Tony has products for dry beans, for potatoes, and some of these other root crops and tubers and so forth. And so for those of you who have people in those markets, we can come back more specifically and address those with those. So Tony, appreciate your help, and thanks for
Right.
your good
If you don't
work.
mind, I've got to get back to the
Yes, sir.
conference here.
That's right. We'll let you run. Thank you, sir.
I have a up in 4 minutes.
All right. Take care. Yeah.
Thanks, Tony.
All right.
Okay.
Josh, let's have you run through the Invita and Intex pretty quick, and then we'll move over to Ron.
Yep. No, that sounds good. As soon as my computer will switch slides here. Okay. So Invita is our nitrogen fixing products. So Tony's products are phenomenal. They complement the Invita products really well. They're crop specific products. Invita is a little different. So Invita is a one-trick pony. It is a bacteria that is specifically designed to allow crops to fix their own nitrogen all season long. Some differentiators of this product versus maybe some of the other ones in the market that you hear about, specifically the Pivot Bio product, is that we are a multi-crop product. So this is not just for corn. We have data on corn, beans, wheat, alfalfa, sugar beets, potato, canola, cotton, you name it. We probably put a trial in. I've got watermelons in Florida. So I mean, it's been utilized on just about any crop you can think about. The other difference is its application. So this is a liquid product. It comes in 1 gallon jugs. You can apply it either in furrow or foliar. That's really what's driven the growth of this big time, is the foliar application. If you go in furrow, you can mix with starter fertilizer. We have a few caveats to that. One is if it's a high salt 1034-0, we want you to put 2 gallons of water per acre with it. The second one is if it's a lower salt 624, somewhere in there, 1 gallon of water per acre is what you're going to want to do if you do go with the starter fertilizer method there. When you go foliar, this is the easiest way to do it. You just throw it right in with your post herbicide pass, V2 to V6 on corn, basically early vegetation on any crop that you're going to go out and spray. Put it in with your herbicide. It's compatible with pretty much anything. Your group 4 herbicides, your dicambas, your 2,4-Ds, those products. Your only watch out is you want to make sure you get it in and out of the tank in about an 8-hour period. So I'm going to get into real quick here just how it works, and then we'll close with a little bit of trial data. But this is basically a nice little diagram of how the product works. This would be an in-furrow application. You can see the pink dots is the GD bacteria. That's the active bacteria in the product. It would enter in through the root tip if it were applied in furrow. If you go foliar, basically the same mechanism is going to happen once it's in the plant. It's just that it's going to go in through the stomata instead of through the root tip. So what happens is once the bacteria gets inside the plant, it'll live between the plant cells, which is great. But more importantly, it's going to colonize inside the actual plant cell. And then once it gets in the plant cell, it creates these little air pockets, or what we call vesicles. And the two reasons that this is extremely important that we get inside the plant cell and do this is, number one, the plant cell will give us a free ride up and down that plant. So we can go from root tip to leaf tip and everywhere in between by hitching a ride in the plant cell. The other thing is what it does is it creates those vesicles. And once we're above ground in the leaf tissue primarily, when air moves through that plant, those little vesicles work like a little nitrogen filter. So what happens is air moves through that plant, those air pockets or vesicles capture a small piece of nitrogen from the air. They pull it into the plant, so you get a small dose of nitrogen every day of that plant's life, where it's needed, when it's needed. So this product is really basically trying to bridge the gap between nitrogen demand versus nitrogen availability. We know that it's not always about how many pounds of nitrogen you put down, but a lot of times it's about the timing of when that crop can get the nitrogen, and that's really where NewField comes into play. So if you can understand this model, you're about 95% of the way to understanding how the NewField product works. So our data from this year, let me back up and talk about 3-year data first. We've done 3 years of trials with it. 81% positive win rate with this product is what we've seen over the 3 years. And then we get about 8.3, 8.4 bushel out of it, somewhere in there, when we get that positive win. So very high return on investment product, very consistently performing product. This year, we're seeing above average performance with it. Our first 19 data points, we had 18 out of 19 positive there. I will tell you, we've had another 3 or 4 that have come in since this slide was made. We're going to run somewhere in the high 80% with this product this year. The reason that we're running above normal this year is the drought. So nitrogen mineralization was an issue for a lot of crops this year. We were providing nitrogen in a non-weather dependent way. So we're not a root-based product. We're actually in the leaf tissue. So therefore, if we get a drought, it's not going to impact us the way it would with some of these other root-based products that are fixing nitrogen below ground and need water to move it up the plant. So very happy with the data that we're getting out of it this year. I'm just going to go through this really quickly. University of Illinois has done trials through Dr. Fred Bilo, 11 bushel increase on their standard plots where they added in. On their high-tech plots, where they start with 12 different products and take products out one by one, they took NewField out and it dropped 8 bushel. So basically, this is telling us on a really high input system, there's still a tremendous opportunity for NewField to have a significant impact on that crop. Everyone's talking about cutting nitrogen this year. So what's our stance on that with these high fertilizer prices? YMS and NewField will never make a recommendation for you to cut back your nitrogen. Our trial data for the most part is based on 100% nitrogen rate. Add NewField in on top and pick up another 7-8 bushel. However, again, knowing that farmers are going to cut back nitrogen on their own certain years, we've done some trials to look at that. This is one of them out of Cushing, Wisconsin. You can see at the 80% rate, we're running about 22 bushel ahead of the control, and not too many bushels behind the 100% nitrogen without the NewField. So again, our messaging is we think that the most profitable program that you will have for your acre is 100% nitrogen with NewField. If you make the decision to cut nitrogen on your own, there are significant yield increases to be had by adding NewField into those programs. So just keep that in mind if you do make the decision to cut back on nitrogen there. Go ahead, Mike. Yeah,
Let me interject real quick. So what we want you to know about this product is 20 some years of research out of the UK. And YMS is the master distributor for it here in the United States. We're looking at between 1 and 2 million acres being used this year. And that easily rivals what the Pivot Bio guys had in the field last year with the hundreds of millions of dollars of marketing. We're seeing a great uptake on this product, should approach 1.5 to 2.5 million acres of this product. The nice thing about this product is you can go to a Pivot Bio dealer, and when you look at Pivot Bio, you have this need to put it in furrow, you got to get it used really quickly, these kinds of things, and its price point's a little higher, and their message is, hey, cut some nitrogen. The message with Envita is you can put it on a seed coat in furrow or come in and when you're spraying your corn or soybeans, and it's a multi-crop product. And that's what we like about it is the ease of function. And we're saying it'll add nitrogen. So it can be used, how should I say this, as a 1-2 punch in a sense, more crops. And also for those who are testing pivot, and for the farmer who can't use pivot because they don't want to go in furrow, here's another alternative at a price point that's more in that $13 an acre price point for that. So we've got a great opportunity here to go access that market and talk to those people that are already out there with Pivot Bio.
And what we're seeing, Michael, is the outlets that we're working with that make crop recommendations. This is just in every crop recommendation they do now, whether it's on corn, beans, wheat, alfalfa, you name it, it's in that recommendation because it's a very inexpensive way to make sure that we're utilizing that plant's capability, that plant genetics to the best of its ability. So beans, 3.5, 4 bushel is what we've seen with it. Alfalfa, we don't see a huge increase in tonnage. We get about a 4 to 5% increase in tonnage, but more importantly, we get about a 12% increase in the quality. So relative feed value jumps on us with that. Wheat, depending on how early you get it down, wheat uses nitrogen early for yield, nitrogen late for quality. So we've seen 6 to 8 bushel on wheat, but we've also seen it where the yield stays pretty stagnant, but we get about a 2% bump on protein depending on how early we get the product down. So again, those are just a few of the crops: potatoes, sugar beets, you name it. We've trialed it. If you want that data, just let me know and we'll make sure we get it over to you.
All right, Josh, let's have you do the last Intex product and we'll move right into Ron.
Sure.
And
This is
we'll give Ron 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever he needs here to kind of finish her up.
So this one is the newest one to the YMS catalog. However, I've been around it for about 15 years through some previous work experiences. This is a soil inoculant. So all of our products that we've talked about today have been endophytic, living in the plant technology. This one is a different mode of action. So this is a spore-forming bacteria, Bacillus pseudomonas strains of bacteria that actually live in the soil. And if you're going to put it into 2 categories, the first one would be a soil inoculant. So you would apply this product as a soil inoculant, and it would help mine out the existing, particularly the existing phosphorus in your soil, and solubilize it and make it plant available. For those of you that are nervous about phos prices this year and are looking at cutting back, again, we don't make that recommendation, but if you do make that decision on your own, this is a great way of making sure that whatever you have built up in your soil can be solubilized and made plant available. The second kind of category I would put this in is a fertilizer catalyst. So any additional NPK you put down, this product should be in that tank mix because it will make it plant available quicker, and it will make that plant use it more efficiently. So side dress nitrogen, starter fertilizer, all those fertilizer applications, Entex is a great option to throw in. It is spore forming, so it can mix very easily with those. You don't need to add any additional water. It's very easy to use. It has a multi-year shelf life. This is the hammer in the toolbox. This will make your whole system more efficient on just about any crop you put it down on. And then last but not least with it, I would say that it's a great product you know, as you're looking at fertility management in general. So if you're crunching numbers, figuring out how you're going to raise the highest crop with the lowest input cost this year with these high fertilizer prices, NTech should be built into those programs. So anything that I didn't touch on there, Mike, that you want to talk about with the NTechs?
That sounds good. Just one last question from Trenton. If the best way to use the products, just this is a general question, SoyFX, IonFX, and Crown FX is on the seed coat. So using it as an overtreat, are there concerns of compatibility with the common fungicide and insecticides that are used as treatments that the farmers are putting on besides the propiconazole? So when you're putting it on as a seed coat.
Yeah, besides Propy, we haven't seen any issues with it. We've done several 100,000 units of seed now over the last couple of years, and we haven't seen any compatibility issues. Propiconazole isn't even an issue when you mix it in the tank. It's more of an issue when it's in the plant. So it's not necessarily an issue from a mixing standpoint. It's an issue from what happens once the bacteria gets in the plant, and that mode of action can then take it out. So yeah, we haven't seen any issues. That's a great question, but we haven't seen any issues with any of the other insecticide fungicides that are pretty common seed treatments. Good question though.
Sounds good. All right, Ron, you're up. Ron is territory manager with Dakota Bio. If you want to take over the screen, Ron, we appreciate you taking time here. Ron's out of Central Iowa and been in the inoculant business for a long time. Ron, I'll let you take it away here and take 15, 20 minutes, whatever you need here, sir.
Sure. I kind of got off to a rough start there, had to reboot, and my web camera was not working. So hopefully I can totally redeem myself.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. We got you.
Can you see that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So real quick, I'll kind of go through these real fast. A little bit about Dakota Bio. We're a privately owned company. Employees have a long history. Actually, the owners are both involved in farming. I'd say we're a strong agronomy company. Marketing, you know, we're working on, but we're really hanging our hat on the agronomy side, knowing what works for farmers. Okay. Let's see here. A little bit about our process, a very clean fermentation process. Currently working with 2 different fermentations. You know, some food grade, just really high quality, state of the art controls, setting all this up. The plant 2 actually does a lot of probiotics. So, you know, working with the FDA, so just a really sterile, clean environment. So that's kind of the base for getting the high quality products. Okay. I'm still having trouble here. Okay, so just want to touch on a little bit on our process of bringing things to market. You know, a very robust system, and I really wanted to focus on the 11 independent research farms. We got 40 technologies in place this year, 20 locations, 9 states. So really spend a lot of time on getting this quality data, quality products. But through the core principles there, and what we like to add is it's got to be operationally sound too. As far as the agronomic benefit and the economic benefit, it's got to be compatible, and it's got to be easy for the grower to use. Jumping into our first product, which is Boss B4. And what that is, it's a 4 species of bacillus. And what you can see here too is they form a biofilm onto the roots. So they stay on the roots all season long. And then, especially then when the roots start leaving that fertilizer zone, they're able to solubilize phosphorus, the iron, and zinc all season long. And we've really seen that as far as plant health too. As we're looking out in fields, you can see later in the season, just that increased plant health as it's being able to solubilize that phosphorus later in the year. It's the rates are, it's liquid and furrow, a pint per acre, and then 1 ounce per 100 pounds of seed on the seed treatment for corn or soybeans. This was what I was talking about as far as, especially if you have variations in pH in your soil. So if you've got, we know that phosphorus gets tied up under low pH and high pH. So what we'll do is we'll go through and lime, but as we're working the lime in, we're only getting it about 6 inches. So once those roots leave that plow layer, and as they grow, as you see, getting around V6 up through later in the season, they've left that area where we've neutralized that pH. So what the bacillus in the B4 will do is all season long, living on that root, it will solubilize that phosphorus and make it available to the plant. Here, I just want to go through a few pictures. They're always nice to look at on these kind of things. Here we see Steve, one of the owners, out here with the control. And then you can see where the Boss B4 liquid and furrow, 9.3 bushel increase. Here's some pictures, 2 more pictures with liquid and furrow. We've been seeing these as we're doing field observations. We're picking up a little bit of a population increase, and then we're seeing a lot of things, plant health later in the year. Another one here, this was with a seed treatment, kind of the same effects going on there. We've got, we're looking at that population increase. Soybeans, the quick picture here, as you go through, you can see the untreated. He's got the first trifoliate, and we're looking at 2 trifoliates on the B4 that was treated. Couple more pictures here. This is adding B4 to, we're looking at Cruiser Max, fungicide, insecticide with inoculant, and then we added the B4 seed treatment and adding that, and you can kind of see to a line where it picks up there too. Adding, even with the inoculant on there, we're, on this example, picked up 3.9 bushels per acre with the Boss B4 as a soybean seed treatment. I think I'm getting to the end of my pictures here. This is showing liquid and furrow. If you're going with starter, if you're using a fulvic or humic, you can just kind of see in a line here from left to right on the left-hand side there. The starter, you've got more root mass when you with the fulvic, and it increases more with the Boss B4. So it's not necessarily a replacement. It can be an additive to products you're using. If you're, currently using a fulvic, which is helping make the nutrient more available, the B4 is a good addition because it will solubilize more phosphorus from the soil and help almost synergistically with products like a fulvic. Wanted to talk a little bit about just the compatibility, longevity of B4 in the starter. We got ongoing starter tests, and this kind of lays out here that when it's tank mixed in with the starter, here we're on this, my slide here is week 16, and we're still going. You can see how the viability is there, and we're counting the actual viable microbes in there, and it's hanging right in there. So there's no drop off in compatibility when mixed with starter. Our second product I want to talk about is Boss Phenom. And what it is, it's a patented bacteria for end fixation of phosphorus and that iron and zinc. Sorry about that. And then, so what it is, it's an endophyte bacteria, and it's kind of interesting. The researcher found this on birch and willow trees in the Pacific Northwest. They were kind of in an isolated area, and they just had no idea how these trees were getting the nutrients. And after, digging around a little bit and a lot of discovery, they found these endophytes that were actually they were fixing nitrogen in the leaves of the trees. And that's kind of where it all started. It's been a long process bringing it to market. So what it ends up with is there's basically an above ground, like I say, that lives in the leaves, fixes atmospheric nitrogen, and there's a below ground component to it that solubilizes phosphorus. We've got a seed applied formulation and a liquid in furrow, and I'll get a little bit more into the results on that, but that's kind of a new exciting product. We just launched it here this week, And so it's really catching a lot of buzz as we get things out there. Another product I want to just touch on is our Brady Rhizobium, which is our soybean inoculant. Very high quality, concentrated, as you can see there, 1/2 ounce per 140,000 acre seed. We do it a little bit different. It's good for 30 days on the seed. If you need longer, we sell Stride, which you see below, as an extender. So we've got a real good price point on this for a very high quality. As you can see here on the numbers, just a lot of live material there.
Hey, Ron,
Yep.
I'll jump in there on that. For folks like Rylan and the ones that have the seed treater, we want you to know this Boss Soy 30 with the Stride competes against products that you might be buying from Verdesian or from BASF and so forth, where you just need a super high quality standard Brady Rhizobium inoculant to apply. This can be your product at a very good price point, and just know that's there and available. This isn't going to go out and be marketed to every single farmer down the road. This is for you seed treaters wanting to treat seed with Brady.
Exactly. Thanks, Michael. Just going to touch a little bit on Boss Azo. It's for nitrogen fixing for non-legumes. It's kind of more of a fit, more of a specialty crop. Probably not something that we will see a lot of use out of, but it's available. Is there any positioning or anything you want to say on that one, Michael? Or do you want me to go on any further on it?
Yeah, so I would say maybe mention the other types of crops someone might use it on, not necessarily soybeans, but where would you see this use? Maybe on some perimeter areas.
That's one. If we get into those areas, I'll get more. Being from Iowa, to me, a specialty crop is alfalfa. So
Yeah.
it's not something that I really have a lot of knowledge on. But if somebody's got some questions on it, I can get Steve or one of the other guys in the Dakotas to explain a little bit more on it. So hate to avoid the question, but
no, I understand. I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you get into the other specialty crops, we've got other experts that we can bring on. So, all right, Steve. Let's talk about this concept. Great idea.
The barge is one of the big things that we have. So instead of having those, especially on like the Soy 30 with your inoculant, where they come in a little cardboard, the boxes that you've got to take them out, get rid of them. We've got a barge where we can put up to 43,200 units in it. And you also get a discount for using that, and you can stack them. So if you're a high volume seed treater using Brady Rhizobium, this would be a perfect fit right here to be able to, you'd be just a small amount of space. We can put all those in there, and it's been really popular as we brought that out.
Wonderful.
Look at the yield summary. This is kind of shows our testing that we done in 2021 through the Midwest. And here, hopefully you can see this fine. I probably should just do one slide because I really like this one. It's just, we're showing, I'm looking at we've got 4 years of testing yield data. And as we can see here, you can see the 11.7 bushels of Boss B4 with just outstanding win rates on it on corn. Same thing with the Boss Phenom, 9.7 bushels. Once again, very good ROI, high win rates. Same thing with soybeans. We're looking at 4.7, and with the Boss B4, 3.35. Once again, just phenomenal win rates and really good ROI on these products. And what I've really liked to see, what I've seen this year, is even in areas with the B4 on 70, 80 bushel soybeans, we're still getting that 4 or 5 bushel return on it. So it's not a product that's, just for the tough acre. you're going to get a marginal return. Even on these very high yielding areas that we run into, we're still getting these good results. So I've worked with a lot of products in the past that were different hormones and different things that would just antioxidants that if you had a lot of stress, they'd really show up. But if you didn't have much stress, you really didn't see much. But what it shows with these win rates and these returns and these high yields we've had, especially this year in areas, and the good returns, it's just something that I'm really excited about in all the years of working with products like this. I've never, when I would get like a 65% win rate, I thought I was in business. And then, like I say, and it wasn't on the top end, it wasn't there. So these new lines of products like this are really exciting. And it's, I think it's kind of somewhat of a game changer, actually.
Yeah, Ron, what I like to concur with that is, and I think there's some Pioneer dealers maybe on the call. I remember 10, 15, 20 years ago having to try to sell against the Pioneer win rate book on the side by sides. And see, if you get into the 70, 75% win rates with hybrids, those are hybrids that get planted on many acres and on most farms. And that's what's nice about these products here. We've got a corn and soybean product, Boss B4, that can go as a seed coat or an in-furrow. And then you've got this new product, the Phenom product, that helps with nitrogen release and phosphorus release. And you're looking at 80, 90% win rates on many of these types of things, or at least 80. And then the third product is just that simple Brady rhizobium. So when you look at the Dakota Bio, they will be adding more to the lineup. There's some EPA type approval products coming in the future that have to do with mitigation for nematodes and so forth. So we're looking excitedly on what the pipeline is there now, but 3 great products to come out with right now to bring to you.
2 more quick stories, which I really like, is the stories that tell, everybody, you see all these different yield claims and everything everywhere. To me, stories really stick out. And this was this was in Washington, Iowa, where they used the Boss Phenom. And what happened was the toolbar, the applicator, misapplied in the fall, and they didn't get enough nitrogen out there. I mean, that's kind of a common occurrence. So what you see here through this aerial imagery, you see the strips. And what this is, it was split planted with the Phenom. And so these darker strips is where the Phenom fixed the atmospheric nitrogen and made it available to the plant. So we're not gonna do testing as far as lowering the rates of nitrogen or phosphorus. This was kind of a mistake, but it really shows you there's a lot of real world things that go on that where you need more nitrogen. A product like this can help you do it. Another example, variable soils, you get low organic matter, you don't get the mineralization. So just a lot of places. And to me, this is just a real good story to where enough nitrogen wasn't applied and this product was able to make up for it. One more quick story. This was Boss B4, and this was an area in Toronto, South Dakota that had 70-mile-per-hour winds, just made a mess of everything. But what you see in the background there is where it was treated with B4, which is standing a lot better. It looks really good in the picture, and it ended up being 46 bushels per acre better because of that plant health with the extra phosphorus available to the plant. So to me, that these 2 last stories are kind of the message I want to leave with is, this isn't going to happen every time, but we get a lot of wins like this. We know plant health is critical. Being able to get that with the Boss B4, the extra phosphorus, and the Phenom, the extra nitrogen with low phosphorus, can be real saving things, and really, along with the added yield increase, just a lot of operational things with it too.
Thank you, Ron, and appreciate Josh and Tony and everyone's input. I'm going to kind of finish up here over the next 5 or 10 minutes. We're running over a little bit on time. Before we do, what specific question might you have for Ron, anyone in the moment, that you need a quick answer on before I move on to a couple other things, and then we'll wrap. All right. The BioBarge concept is something that we'll be implementing over time at NewField Ag. We know that not everyone wants to buy a full pallet of every single product that's sold, so we'll be aggregating some of these orders onto a single pallet or in a black box as we go forward. One of the nice things to know about these product lineups is there is inventory protection available when you order certain products or certain quantities, so that you can have them on hand. And that's something that you'll see on our price sheets as we go forward. I've got price sheets available at your distributor, dealer, and retail levels that we'll be working together on. The other thing I want to mention is we have people like Dan Johnson, our rep out of Minnesota, on the call. We've got Shandy Bertolino. She's backing us up with YMS out of Illinois and Indiana. Keith from Lincoln, Nebraska will be helping us on the YMS product lineup as we go forward. And then obviously Ron Delphs in Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas a little bit for folks like Jeff Pritchard and so forth. And then as we go east, I'm going to take, I'll do a lot of helping on the east side of the Mississippi along the way too. So here's something that we would like you to know as our dealers and distributors. First of all, thanks for taking this time. We like this format because we can get a lot of the key experts that are backing us on these calls. And one thing to note is we're going to start doing this on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. And what we want you to do is, if you have dealers, to motivate them to this venue. And then our next meetings can be meetings like this again, where let's just say that Jeff has, or Jeremy or Lauren has a dealer or some farmers that want to get together. They can go personally and sit with them and then bring us in on these webinars, and we'll bring in Tony and Ron and Steve and Shandy and Josh and whoever needs to be on there to support us in this fashion. And so we want you to know that that content is available and going forward for us to do these things, and so that you don't have to be the experts yet while you learn and while you get trained. So we hope this will help. We just have to you just have to get a hold of us and say, hey, we want to go the next step and learn more about this or this or this or that product and so forth. I'm going to share my screen here to kind of finish out a couple of things on the low Mutec, the dust, and the Terracin plus dust side of things. I don't know if you all look at the Beck's PFR booklet, but that is out online, and we're excited to see that dust itself is given a positive ROI. We've got 3 or 4 locations where it's anywhere between $1 to $16 an acre with dust alone, giving an ROI with the use of 1 ounce of dust compared to control on some of the other micronutrients. So if you like that data, we can get it out to you to use and to look at. Many of you have been asking us for what's next besides dust. What are you going to put in dust? We like these biologicals and so forth. So we want to know what you're going to bring next. And we've been diligently working for, a couple of years on this project for Dust Plus. And one of the product lineups that we've been working with here to get started, and there'll be more to come from multiple companies as we can get it proven out for us. But we have the New Leaf Terracin pink methylatrope product that we're mixing in. So you're going to get a 1 pound rip off top bag that you'll shake into your seed or apply through your talc graphite applicator or put in your black box, run it through the tinder. We've got a product called Terracin 450 plus dust. You're going to shake it on like an inoculant, like you used to with the black stuff years and years and years ago. But you're going to get a high level amount of microbes on it. And these pink methylatropes are helping the plant work better by providing better root uptake of nutrients, taking away waste in the plant, and increasing iron and manganese and so forth. So we have a product specifically for corn, and we'll be applying a 1/2 ounce per unit of seed on that. We've got a 4.5 bushel average gain, win rate of 80% across 20 large scale trials. We'll sell it in boxes of 4 1-pound bags. And you can see that the methylobacterium is a gregans type specifically that is targeted for corn. And we have this information in our little booklet we sent on the email. Happy to send this to you also as individual pages. The product for soybeans for an inoculant microbial is the 401 product. It's a Hispanicum strain. We're going to use a 1/2 ounce per unit of seed here, and quantity of 4 individual bags that treat 40 unit of soybeans. So 160 acres per case at 140,000 population. What you'll see on the soybeans here is absolutely increased nodulation, 75% win rate, seeing 2+ bushel advantage. And also we're seeing better root tip elongation, root area, and so forth. We do want you to know that these don't have to be applied just at the planter box the day of. They can be, but let's just say you're treating seed ahead of time or you're bringing the seed in and you've got a black box for a farmer, or you're want to run a CT applicator and put the talc instead of putting talc graphite application on for them, you can put dust on and then run it back into the black box and the seed tender for them. And this has 90 plus days on live seed when you put it on the dry seed. So this product's just $4.35 an acre for corn or soybeans. Pretty inexpensive to go out there. And when we look at all these products that we have in the lineup, you know, sometimes you can say from an operational standpoint, someone doesn't want to do a seed coat. Someone doesn't want to do an in-furrow. They don't necessarily want to do a foliar. So here we have a planter box type application that can get someone started in that microbial space if they're interested in looking at a lower price level and with an excellent ROI. So when you look at the lineup of products that we've worked with, we have products that operationally can work in many different fashions. If you're a seed treater, if you're a foliar guy, if you're an in-furrow guy, if you need planter box, if you need all these different methods, we're bringing together a portfolio of products for you to be able to work with. And one of the things I want to encourage you on is this microbial and biological space. There's a lot of companies out there, and our goal is to bring good information, great products, help you know how to use them. And I think what we'll find is just as we've had to learn traits and chemistry and seed packages and how to use all those, our next step in this space as farmers, as dealers, as advisors and consultants is to begin to understand how these live microbials and biotechnology products that are in this space that we're bringing out can be used and fit the farmer, and that he can get great results from. So with that, appreciate your time. We're here to answer any questions. If you don't have any questions, you're free to sign out, obviously, and we'll follow up with pricing with further discussions. I'm recording this. I've recorded this presentation, so we can have a link to get you. One thing I'm still trying to figure out is how to get that link out of where I've got it saved to some folks. But as I get that figured out, we can send this out to you on that. So just kind of want to finish up with any questions for anyone. And I know there's a few questions that may come up. So for those who don't get your questions answered real quick here, as other folks sign out, just stay on and we'll continue with answering the questions.
Michael, this is Brian. Could I say something here real quick?
Sure.
Hey, I want to thank all you for coming on and doing this. Just like Michael said, we want to start doing these because there is so much information coming out about this biological space. And we feel like that we've partnered with these companies that are excellent in their field and are looking at this space differently than just how do we sell more product? And they're looking at it, how do we get products to the farmer where they can generate more revenue and therefore stay in the business and come back to us for that next round of information. And so the companies that we presented and the products that we've partnered with here, we feel like does that. When you have a company like YMS that's doing a clearinghouse effect on all the new technology and looking at that, helping us to weed through some of the information that can be kind of dense. These guys are helping us go through that and doing an excellent job of that. Dakota Bio is bringing us this technology that's very clean, so you have less worry about the interaction between that and the other products that are being out there. And obviously what we're doing with TerraSym by doing a planter box additive that's showing the consistent results we've seen over the last couple of 3 years here with them. And so we think we're headed down the right path. We've got some partners here that are educating us, and every time we listen to these presentations, the knowledge gets infused in us a little better, and we get to use it more. So I want to thank you for taking the time. And if there's anything of these conversations where you would like to know more, these companies have access to that information and can help us as we move forward. So thanks a lot for taking the time today, and y'all have a safe day.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions in the moment?
Michael, we had a question about the stacking effect of some of these products, and you had touched on that a little bit. Would you spend just a little bit of time on that?
Yeah, I'll let maybe Josh handle that. Josh, does it make sense to use some of these products together? For example, Invita with Boss B4. Ron, Josh, you guys want to make any comments to how to stack these products potentially?
I don't see any issues like in the before an example as far as using that with other products. It's done all kinds of different compatibility testing. It's got the good viability in the starter. Yeah, I don't see any issues with it.
All right. If anyone has any other questions, let us know. Otherwise, we'll start signing out. I'll stick around here for anybody else wants to chat a little bit, or Ron or Dan. Trent, you got any questions? Jeff, Shorty, if you want to stick around, we can visit a little bit here. It's up to you guys. Not trying to kick you guys off, just saying, hey, I know you got things to do, but we'll chat if you want to. I'll just see who may stay or who may not, Ron.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. I've never had so much trouble. I've had my web camera went out and the audio and had to restart and oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, that's sometimes these things do that for us.
Yeah.
It's